The Meta Quest 3. Is it still worth it after more than a year? And how good does it hold up? Let's dive right into it. Now, to get the main thing out of the way directly is that the Meta Quest 3 is one of the best standalone VR headsets, period. And while some time has passed since its official release, it has gotten so many updates as well as improvements that it almost feels like a complete evolution compared to what it was capable of. And if you already own a Quest 3 or are still thinking of getting one, then there are some important things towards the end that you don't want to miss. So make sure to stick around. And let's break it down by starting with the hardware, with by far the biggest feature and upgrade to this day being the screen and lenses. Since the Quest 3 rocks the highest resolution dual screen panels of all Meta headsets, this makes sure that you get the best quality and sharpest image when using it for virtual reality. But it is thanks to the new pancake lenses that this gets taken to the absolute next level, since these make it possible for the front visor to be over 40% slimmer, as well as having much less glare and a bigger sweet spot, which honestly is almost already worth the upgrade by itself, since this gives you a night and day difference compared to the older Fresnel lenses. And while it is difficult to see this in a video on a flat screen, inside VR it can truly change your experience quite a bit. But another important thing is that the Quest 3 now sits in the lineup alongside the more recently released Quest 3S, and this caused quite some confusion, since the name might sound and suggest like the Quest 3S is superior to the Quest 3, but this is not the case in reality at all, because it is only the original Quest 3 that has the previously mentioned high resolution display and pancake lenses, so keep that in mind. But another great hardware feature is the Touch Plus controllers, because these have a ringless design that besides just tracking also improve greatly on the haptic feedback, letting you really feel what happens inside VR. And they come with two AA batteries included in them, so they will stay charged for quite a long time. And even though there is the possibility to get some rechargeable batteries for them, in most cases it is probably not needed. But probably the main feature of this headset is the mixed reality, because this now got unlocked in full color thanks to the built-in cameras that you can see on the outside, which is a massive improvement over the lower quality black and white texture that you can see on the older Quest 2. However, at launch there were still a lot of problems. This went from warping off your hands and nearby objects to making it almost impossible to read text on a screen in front of you. But surprisingly, with the many big software updates from Meta, they managed to improve on this so drastically that warping is now almost a thing of the past, and that now both the clarity of small writing as well as the tracking of your hands has been massively improved. That means that it will lose your hands less often, as well as detecting collisions more accurately like they would in real life. And Meta also announced that they will finally open up the outside cameras to developers, which means we're going to see a lot more mixed reality games in the future, instead of just a bunch of short experiences that we have at the moment. But that gets us to the performance, since the Quest 3 is using the powerful XR2 Generation 2 chip, which is a huge improvement over the older XR2 Generation 1 chip from the Quest 2, or even the XR2 Plus version that can be found in the high-end Quest Pro, with it being pretty much the most advanced VR processor for any standalone device. And this can give you some incredible detail while still remaining on a good frame rate. And a great example that is often used to showcase this is Red Matter 2, since while the gameplay might not be anything crazy, it is the beautiful environments that it can render that are really jaw-dropping the first time you see it. So hopefully more big games will make use of this powerful chipset in the future. However, all this power also comes with some downsides that we have to discuss, which firstly is the battery life, because when you're using your headset a lot, you will quickly notice that it is completely drained after just 2.5 hours of intense gameplay. This is all thanks to the previously mentioned chip, as well as the high processing that some games require. And while you can turn down some settings and enable battery saving mode, this isn't really a great solution. And a second problem that a lot of users have is regarding the comfort, since right out of the box, the Quest 3 is using a dual band head strap. And while this is still a nice improvement over the single band from the Quest 2, you will definitely still feel its pull after just a short while of using it. And even though you can definitely adjust it more to try and distribute the weight more evenly, it is still far from comfortable during longer gaming sessions. And that is why a lot of people's first upgrade to their VR headset, when it comes to hardware accessories, should probably be something like a Pro-like head strap, or even better, if it also includes a battery to solve both the previous problems problems at once. And as an example of this, I've been using the one from Anna Pro, since this one lets me simply attach the battery magnetically on the back of my head strap, meaning this doesn't only give me a whopping 3 to 4 hours of extra gameplay thanks to the 10,800 mAh battery, it also distributes the weight of the headset more evenly so that it feels less front heavy to my face. And if you would really want to, you could even take it up a level and swap between two batteries all the time to give yourself a constant charge while never having to take off your headset. However, like we mentioned before, the best part of these head strap upgrades are the cushions that are built into it, which feel a lot more comfortable to wear compared to the double band strap. So if you don't have a pro-like head strap like this already, then you should definitely try one out at least to feel the difference. And I will also leave a link in the description below for this one, since it only comes at a fraction of the cost compared to the one of Meta. But maybe even more important is that we have to talk about the games, because all previous titles from the older Quest 2, as well as the newer ones that are being released, are all available on the Quest 3. And a couple of great must-plays are things like the open-world RPG named Asgard's Wrath 2, which will bring you a near 100-hour-long campaign to dive into, with some great combat and puzzle solving. But there are also other games like Assassin's Creed Nexus or even Batman Arkham Shadows, which all look absolutely insane in virtual reality, with many more great titles coming and the library of games growing exponentially every day. Even some bigger names like Alien Rogue Incursion and Metro Awakening are making their VR debut as well. But a good thing to know is that the amount of great games that we already had beforehand also often got an enhancement specifically made for the Quest 3. A great example of this is the Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, that looks much better and more detailed on the Quest 3 thanks to the processing power it can use. But you can also connect your headset to your gaming computer and play the entire Steam VR library on it, letting you play some big titles like Half-Life Alyx that have probably the best graphics of any VR game of all time. But let's talk about one of the most important things, which is the price, since this is where things get really interesting. Because while at launch the Quest 3 came in at $650 for its highest storage option, Meta has lowered this price to a total of $500 for the massive 512GB version. But besides this significant reduction, it also includes 3 months worth of Quest Plus that gives you access to a bunch of games from the start, as well as including the Batman Arkham Shadows game for free. But to make it even better, I left a link in the description below that next to all these games will also get you $30 of free store credit when you get your headset, and that you can spend however you want. So make sure not to miss out on that, which gets us to the final conclusion. Even though the Quest 3 released quite a while ago, it is still one of the best VR headsets that you can get. And with its higher resolution screen and cutting edge pancake lenses, it is almost a no-brainer for anyone who's looking to buy a VR headset. But it is mainly thanks to the software updates since it launched that have improved the overall experience so drastically that its evolution can almost not be compared to what it was like before. And that's not even mentioning the big price drop to $500 with the inclusion of Quest Plus and Batman Arkham Shadow, as well as the potential free $30 store credit with the link below, making the Quest 3 the best overall VR headset that you can get right now. But that's not all, because if you want to see a closer comparison between the difference of the Quest 3 and the Quest 3S, then click on the video you see on screen right now to make sure you don't miss out. And of course, stay awesome.